Thanks for joining us today, guys. Before we start the video, go ahead right down there and smash that like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm so more people can view these videos. Leave your comments below, and any questions you guys have, I'll do my best to answer them all. So, without further ado, let's start the video. I didn't know I owned a cow. I didn't know I owned a cow, Rocky. Pup's not supposed to eat grass. Oh. So, because everything's kind of repetitive right now, I'm just still hauling compost. Kind of sucks I gotta put in a wheelbarrow to bring it over here because my plant's blocking. But I think what we'll do today is we'll answer some questions. And we'll start it off with Deborah. She says, why are you walking on your soil? And what she's implying is once the plants are growing, you want to avoid compacting the soil. You don't want to step on it. You'll notice I'm going to put walking boards down. But the reason right now I'm walking on the soil and I don't really care is my plants are tiny. And I'm still working this soil. There's going to come a time when I go through here and I rototill. And once it's my final till, I'm going to put down these walking boards over here. These walking boards, they'll be laid down in here and I'll be only walking on those boards. The reason those boards are what I'm walking on is because my weight will be dispersed throughout this entire board, be dispersed. So I'm not compacting the soil. When you compact the soil, the roots have a hard time piercing that ground. So you want to avoid that compacting. But right now with the plants being small, I'm not worried about it. Obviously I'm not walking right up next to the plant. This stuff in here, this is all, I'm not going to compact any of this. So I'm not stepping in there. But out here, I'm going to rototill this again. You gotta remember though, you don't want to rototill too close to the plant because your roots, they're growing underground and you don't want to tear them up. So when I come through here and rototill, I'm going to pass right through here. I'm going to stay about 3 feet away. And that final till will probably be in about a week or so. So I got another question from Doug. He wants to know how far away I have my 250 watt light from the plants. And the reason he's asking that is these lights, they get really hot. If you have them too close to the plants, you'll actually scorch your plants and burn them. You'll kill them. You'll notice as the plant starts growing, I'll continuously move this light further and further away. Eventually taking it out completely because ultimately it'll be warm enough where I don't need it. But right now, if you can see, I'm touching the light bulb and it looks like I'm about 32 inches away from my base. But you got to remember my leaves, they protrude out a little bit. And it looks like from my leaves, my furthest cot, I'm 27 inches away. And I'm watching it carefully. As my plant falls over and starts growing, I'm going to be moving this. So you don't want to burn your plant up. Jody asks if I pH my silica mixture, and I do pH it. The reason I am pHing it, and I pH the water ahead of time for the silica, and that's because silica is sensitive to high pH, and if your pH is high, you'll notice when you put your silica in the water, it'll come out of solution. So you'll pour the liquid silica in your water, and you'll notice that it'll turn to like a white powder and sink to the bottom. Not like a powder, but it'll be like white chunks, and it's coming out of solution. So you want to have your pH under, I like to keep it under 7.5 and over 6. Ultimately, the perfect pH for a fertilizing drench is going to be around 6 to 6.5 pH. That's when majority of the nutrients are available to the plant. If you get your pH too high, you're locking the nutrients. So your plant's not going to be able to take it up. So keep your pH between 6 to 6.5. If you want to keep your silica in solution, keep it under 7.5. So Joe made a comment right here, and it's a good point. I should have clarified a little better when I was making this video about perlite. He says, well, isn't perlite cation exchange 1.5? And wouldn't that lower your cation exchange? And in short, yes, it would lower your cation exchange. The sole purpose for perlite is to aerate your soil. This perlite I'm putting in, I wasn't putting it in to aerate my soil. This stuff is very fine, and maybe I'll break into it and show you guys again. It's very fine. It's not like your normal perlite. There's more surface area, so the cation exchange is a lot higher. This is going to be higher than peat moss. I don't have the actual number, but I'll guarantee you that right there has a cation exchange of over 200. And ultimately, if you are a northern grower where it freezes, that perlite will raise your cation exchange over time. The reason being is that perlite, it takes up water. And then when it freezes, that perlite breaks down into shards. And when it breaks into shards, you got more surface area, which increases your cation exchange. So for example, you put that perlite in, the big thick perlite, at the end of the year it freezes, and over the winter it breaks up into 10 pieces. Well, now that 1.5 is essentially, we'll say, like a 20, because you got more surface area, and it ultimately raises your cation exchange. But again, then over an even longer period of time, that perlite breaks down and it's no longer there. So I'd say you made a good point, and it does lower your cation exchange the first year out. So keep that in mind, guys. We use perlite to aerate the soil. I'm using this stuff to raise my cation exchange. I don't necessarily care about the aerating of the soil. All right, thanks for the question. Jake wants to know if I give away seeds. So in short, if you're gonna grow the seed, and I know you're gonna, give it proper care, I'll give you a seed for the price of postage. But if you are intending to, trade that seed or just not grow it, I'd rather have you pay for the seed, and then you can do with it what you will. Typically, if you want seeds from me for free, start a conversation with me, and if I know you're going to grow it, typically I have no problem sending seeds to people for free. But what I don't like is when people ask me for seeds, and this happened the very first couple of years. They asked me for seeds, and I gave everybody the seeds they wanted. In most cases, the seeds, I asked for a self-addressed bubble envelope, and they send it to me, and it's like $2 short postage, and I'm covering the cost. So in that first year, I got stung on it, and I had a bad taste because a lot of people, they didn't grow the seed, they end up just trading it. So from now on, what I do, I decided I was going to sell the seeds. That way they can do whatever they want with it, and I'll send it straight to them. So that's why I sell seeds. I hope you guys understand that. Typically, if I know you and you strike a conversation with me, and I know you intend to grow the seed, I have no problem sending you seeds for free. So it's just that first year I got stung, so I sell seeds now because it gets overwhelming with seed requests. I hope that answers that question. If you want to purchase seeds, go to Worldwide Giant Growers right here. If you intend to grow the seed and you intend to do a good job of it, just hit me up on Facebook, Messenger or something, and ask. And most likely we can set something up. Scott wants to know if I got my soil test this year and if I test this compost. And I don't test this compost, and I didn't get a soil test this year. I got a soil test last fall, and I do a soil test like every other fall. Normally when I go into an off year, I don't do the fall soil test, but I will say over the years, it's like I get that soil test, and I always add the exact same stuff. It's like clockwork. It's like I spend the $50 on a soil test, and I end up adding the exact same stuff because every year it's depleted like exactly the same. So some years I skip it for that reason, and then other years I'll take it just to see if it's still accurate, and typically it is. So I think I said in a later video, it's like the pumpkin plant, it uses a lot of calcium, boron, and potassium. That's generally what you're going to be low in. Those other nutrients, you don't necessarily need to add them every year. It seems like if you get on the high end of, we'll say, nitrogen, you can let it go 3 years, and eventually you'll be high, you'll be little high, you'll be mid, and then you'll be depleted after the 4th year. But you don't necessarily need it. You don't need it high. Your plant's going to pull up what it needs. And at the 50% mark, at medium, your plant is going to be fine. So you don't necessarily need to add nitrogen every year, is what I'm getting at. And that's the way I feel about the other nutrients. What you do need to add every year is calcium, potassium, and boron. That's a fact. There's other nutrients that take time to be used up. So I hope that answers your question. I don't test the compost. I never have. Every year it'd probably be different, to be honest, because this is just a public source. It's the city of Wisconsin Rapids. They're the ones that compost this, and they get the the sticks and the leaves for this compost from the residents of Wisconsin Rapids. So depending where these leaves are coming from, I'm sure every year it's gonna change. I will say this: I have not added this much compost to my garden since 2015 when I grew my personal best. Typically it's hard for me to add this amount with the rush of getting the greenhouse up, because it's very hard to get in here once the greenhouse is up. So it's kind of nice I'm able to add all this compost. Hopefully it helps me a lot. I still want to add some peat moss over everything, but I'm excited to see what I'm going to grow this year. Task Force, he says, Team Moby Mike. Team. Are you kidding me? You're going to be a Team Branter by the end of the year. You're going to be wishing you're on my team. And I'm going to be like, there's still room for you. You can switch. Come to the dark side. Yeah, so, yeah, we are doing that competition over at Garden of Giants. You guys go ahead over there to the Facebook group, and you can watch myself, Travis, and Mike I'll battle it out this year. We're going to see who gets the biggest pumpkin. Hopefully, ultimately, we all weigh off in California at the nut tree. The nut tree is going to be a new weigh off. Really big one. A lot of good things coming out of California this year. Yeah, hopefully we battle it out this year in California. I think that'd be really cool. So, all right, guys. Thank you for watching the video today. I hope you guys like this this type of content like this. I'll do more videos like this in the future. Or comment videos and whatnot. Yeah, as always, go ahead and smash that like button. Comment all your questions below, and I'll answer them at some point. And this dog, we didn't name him Doug for a reason. Thank you, guys.